Hey guys, welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. Today is March 13th, 2022, and this is episode 82 of the Workshop Podcast. And tonight I have an extra special guest. I have Mrs. Toolman, my wife Becky Cook, in here with me. How are you, babe?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Yeah, so we're going to talk tonight about our business venture, well, it's really her business venture, something we did together. But real quick, before we do, we always get the housekeeping out of the way. Let's do some announcements. So first off, we have now expanded to a few different streaming platforms while we're going. Hey, Brian, how are you? We are now also streaming on on Facebook, and a second stream on Float, which leads me to another announcement in a minute. And we're going to be streaming to Telegram as soon as I work the bugs out. Been following all the instructions, and for whatever reason, it just does not seem to work. Hey, Chris Dixon, how are you? So anyway, we're right now on 5 platforms. We should be on Rumble soon. Going to look to try to max StreamYard right out and get, I can't remember if it's 8 or 10 we can get, but we're going to be there. Keep spreading the word of the workshop. Number 2, keep pushing Mike Rowe. Share that video. Tag him on anything on social media. Use hashtag DoMeDirtyMike, and we are going to get him on here. I told you, I officially got turned down once, but now they know I actually exist. So we will get him on there. And the other thing that I have launched is Toolman Tim Radio, 24/7 stream on Float. So it's 24/7 except when I'm streaming here. And then this stream will be on both. But basically, I've got enough back catalog of content that I'm now going to stream all of my stuff. Do me dirty, Mike. There we are. Dome dirty. Yeah, I know. It's funny, Brian. So anyway, I've got 80. Tonight's episode 82. So we got a whole bunch, and I wouldn't mind maybe like a day a week or mix in some other people's episodes. So if you've got a piece of content you'd love to have on the 24/7 Toolman Tim Radio, let me know. We'll slide something in and we'll get cross promoting, because rising tide floats all boats. So with that, let's move on to the highlight of the show. My beautiful wife came in. So how are you, baby?
I'm good.
Good. Nice relaxing Sunday we had today.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you sure?
No, it was. It
right
was.
Yeah. Studio 8424 has us live over on Float. Nice. He's one of our biggest supporters. If you guys haven't gone over to Float, take a minute and sign up over there. I love it. It's the free speech platform, and I really think that it's going places. So I brought you in. We are going to talk about, what are we going to talk about, baby?
Well, I guess you could say female entrepreneurship, starting another business.
Stacking businesses, right?
Stacking businesses, family business. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. Hey, hi, David. How are you? Over from Facebook. This is great. Right on. We got people. This is, going to take a little getting used to here, guys, but we are going to get it to work. I love it. So would you like to tell a story, how it started? Just take us back to when did it start? Busy Bees.
Well, my sister and I, we both worked for AHS, which is Alberta Health Services. And eventually we got to the point where we weren't getting, like, I was full-time, she was only casual. And then eventually she went off on maternity leave, and I went off because of an injury. And then we got to the point where we're just like, we're so tired of working for other people. We're so tired of accommodating everybody else's hours. And and with her, like, we do have a daycare in Provost, and it's an awesome daycare. It really is. But we found there was always a huge waiting list. And even with the waiting list, she still had, even if you weren't on it, it was never full time. They only had casual spots. And with my sister, her name's Amy, and she's my younger sister. So we got to the point where, like, when she had her little boy and she was going to go back to work, and his name's Adam, and he's the sweetest kid in the world.
I love him.
He's so sweet, but she just didn't know what to do with him. And me being the older sister, I'm just like, well, I don't mind babysitting once in a while, but our kids are older, and I don't know if I'm ready to have another baby around the house all the time. And our house is not baby proof. And even though, it doesn't make, I love them any less, but I just didn't want any babies around, right? Not in my house, because then it upsets the dogs. And then, but both of us are to the point where we both love kids. And we just thought, well, you know what? Maybe we should look into babysitting.
Yeah.
And then my mom, who has her ECE, which is the early childhood education, and she's like, well, you know what? Why don't we look into doing the daycare? So my sister's mother-in-law, Kathy, who is a wonderful person, owns a church. And she said, well, hey, you know what? I'm not doing anything with the basement. If you guys want to renovate it, I'll give you a decent rent and you guys can turn it into a daycare. And we're just kind of like hemming and hawing, and we're kind of like, oh, well, you know, yeah, no, it seems all right. Seems all right. And then when Amy's maternity leave was getting close to run out, I just looked at her and I said, you know what? I said, let's do this. We can do it.
So proud of you.
And then and of course, Amy's more cautious than what I am. And she's like, well, I don't know. It's going to cost a lot of money. And I said, you know what? I said, why don't you let Tim and I handle that part of it? Because we already have all seasons and we can filter a lot of the costs through all seasons, such as, you know, write-offs and I said, well, and she helped where she could. And, you know, and her husband's supportive as well. And we just like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And then it just slowly came together. We started renovating, and that was a nightmare.
When did we actually start? Because the reason we brought Becky on really was because we just celebrated a year, right?
Well, that was a year from opening.
Yes, from grand opening.
So
yes.
I think we actually started renovating in May.
Was that what? Okay, yeah.
May of the previous year, and then once it was in May, and then we got to September, and that's when we started our whole licensing.
Right.
And then we had to go through all the hoops for licensing, and I don't know how many are Canadian, but when in Alberta with licensing, we have to have health inspector, fire inspector, licensing inspector, and then you have to fill out applications. You got to send application fees. You have to send in criminal record checks.
That's right. First aid.
You have to have your first aid. You have to have your food handlers. So we just kept going, and anytime we had a speed bump, we just plow over it. We kept going, and of course, then we had to deal with COVID, and that, of course, you know, something that would take 2 weeks ended up taking 2 months, and it just kept pushing back. But then we opened March 1st.
Yes, March 1st, 2021.
2021, yes.
Yeah, and we knew there was a need there, eh, babe?
Yep.
Because, like we said, there was another daycare in town who was full. They were large, and we figured, hey, why don't we do a smaller daycare?
Yep.
We're allowed to have 17 kids, right? At the moment,
we're allowed to have 17 at one time.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, to back up a bit, I mean, this is a church that's probably, I don't know, 60 years old, 50 years old,
in the 30s.
In the third. Okay, yeah. So we're coming up on 90 years old. So as you can imagine, it's not the tightest as far as air goes and heat goes. Electrical, there's only 60 amp service in it. So we had to get creative with the kitchen. What did you use for the kitchen, baby? It was really cool.
Well, how we were told is that the church was basically built by the parishioners.
Yeah.
So, you know, like as favors. So like they're, you know, like, oh, I have a little bit of contracting experience because I put a wall up in my house. Here, I'll build the basement. You know, so like it's like all the walls are uneven, the floors are uneven, and like trying to put down laminate floor and cushion floor was a nightmare. But no, so we have a gas hookup in the kitchen, but we came to find out if we actually had a stove in there, it was going to jack up our insurance. So we decided to do, we have a griddle, we have a toaster oven, and a 2-burner
hot plate.
Yeah. That's the word for it. Yeah.
So so we need to back up. I need to brag Becky up a little bit because she makes it sound like, you know, if we see a road bump, we work over it. Well, there's a truth to that, but how it really goes is that when she sees a road bump, goes right the hell through it, because I've never met a woman more persistent in all my life. And excuse me, guys. she's absolutely the reason that I'm successful in business. And she's absolutely the reason that she's successful, because to her, there's never a no. There's just, what do I need to do to make it a yes? And she works her way through it. And that's the way it was with the kitchen. You know, so to do all the process, we had to have 4 different inspections.
Yep.
And every time we had somebody there for an inspection, they would always find something. It's like their job. So you had a fire inspector, we had an occupancy inspector, we had a health inspector, and then we had the final inspection from the licensing. And so like the kitchen stuff, I just thought it was so brilliant, because we couldn't have an electric stove. We couldn't have a gas stove. But no big deal. We'll use a hot plate, pressure cooker, or like Instapot, whatever it happens to be. And you guys never have any problems, do you?
No, not at all. And going back to that, like, I don't even like the kids using the word no in their vocabulary. When they tell me no, I answer with excuse me, because there's going to be no no's. And you have to be persistent, and not to like categorize or anything, but being a woman in a business is a lot harder, because trying to get things done and calling people, I find some people don't take you serious. And like, for example, when we're trying to get quotes for a new grant that we're applying for, I think you're still waiting for a call from a certain person. I called him every day until he gave me a quote. Yep. And it took a week and a half, but I just found that it was kind of just brushed under the rug, and he didn't take me serious. And I find that very, very frustrating, and I know a lot of women in business do find that frustrating.
And you found that even at the very beginning, when we first started the business, that even some, I wouldn't call them customers, but parents and different things, just kind of maybe at first you had to kind of assert yourself and be like, hey, I'm the boss, right?
Exactly. Because there's some daycares that are run by what they call a co-op, and where they have like a board with a president, a vice president, treasurer. But we're private. It's myself and my sister. We are the owners, and it's 50-50, and everything we do together. And it's nice, because we don't have to answer to anybody, and the only ones we have to answer to is basically each other, and we keep each other level.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, let's slide back. So I remember I had to work that day, but so the basement where I wish we'd have done a full before and after walkthrough, because the transformation is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Because I know I ended up having a job that day, but you guys went in there because it was basically just full of household items, right? Like storage, random
she was
everywhere.
Just using it for storage, yeah.
So you guys can picture, I'm sure the church was renovated in the 60s or 70s. It reminds me of every evangelical church I was in as a kid. So it's got the big main room, it's 16 by 35. Then it's got 3 classrooms off the side, and then a kitchen and 2 bathrooms and an office, just like every other church that I'd ever been in. But it was full from top to bottom, back to forth. And you guys went in and organized and hauled out. Is that how you started?
We just hauled everything out and anything. And then we ran that. Most of it was Kathy's stuff. So what she did was she picked and what could go and what was staying, and we kept it down the basement, and we just ran like a continuous yard sale for a couple of days.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And cleared out that stuff, so we didn't have to haul it out, which made our lives a little bit easier, because we got rid of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Which made it nice. Yeah.
And then we started making a plan. So at that point, what was in the living room or in the main room? Because we tore something up there. It was the carpet
glued to the cement.
Yeah. Carpet glued to the cement. And we had so 3 small rooms, and we had to just start renovating, right? Yep. And then there was what I like to call the death trap of the back stairs. That's the stairs they use now. But before, it was just kind of open framed. It was an open frame wood staircase that
that had dirt.
Yeah, you could literally see into the basement dirt, right? Yep. So we cut all kinds of pieces out. Yep. We anchored a railing to the old cinder blocks. We created storage up there. It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I loved bringing it to life. And then we went and where'd we go from there? We had all the different small rooms.
Yep.
And what'd we do?
Well, our biggest expense was the flooring.
Yes.
Because we had to make sure we had all the flooring down. The cushion flooring and the laminate flooring. And of course you did all that because.
Yeah, which was great because we knew a guy.
Yeah, I knew a guy, right? And Barrett helped.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Barrett helped. And of course, then in the main room, it has those pillars.
Oh,
So that was a
yes.
pain doing the laminate around there. And then we painted.
Yes, we did.
And of course, you have to always put up the fancy wall stickers for the kids. So like lots of colors and animals and shapes and stuff.
And we did it on a budget. So when you're thinking about a business, this is the crazy thing. Like, I mean, you know, we had a local group here who was shutting a program down, and they gave us a bunch of preschool kind of furniture, which was great. There was unfortunately a preschool an hour out of town was shutting down. We went up there for a big yard sale, and
we got a lot of stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
We got those great carpets
and expensive stuff, wasn't it, baby?
Just those carpets alone, because we actually, I think Amy had them in her cart through Wayfair.
Right.
And for the one carpet that we paid $150 for on Wayfair, they wanted $950.
Isn't that crazy?
So, it was for
like, one carpet,
and it had it has typical wear and tear on it, but kids are rough on it anyway. And I can't tell you how many times I've cleaned up throw up off that carpet. So it's just like kids are they're rough on everything. But I'm not paying $950 for a carpet when I get one for $150. And our saving grace was IKEA.
Oh, yes. Yes. You guys loved IKEA. And one thing also that people don't and so preschools fall under kind of the specialty category, right?
Yes.
Because anything that is earmarked or called little kid furniture or preschool furniture automatically has a huge premium on it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like 6 little tiny day beds. What are they? $300 for?
No, right now they're $440.
And they look like a shorter version of an army cot. There's nothing to them at all.
No, it's just a mesh cot.
Yeah. And we've had to buy 3 sets of them so far, right?
2 sets.
Two sets, and with another one coming.
Another one coming, yeah.
And of course she jumps over her big part here, but of course I put the sweat equity in, and of course that's what you have to do, guys, when you're doing this is, you know, figure out how to buy things on the cheap, figure out how to do the renovations if you can do it yourself, which we were lucky with that. But she turned it into a daycare. I just spruced it up. I shined up a turd for a bit, and you know, we got some paint in there and we got some flooring, but you turned it into a daycare. I remember the first time going down and looking at it, and I was like, wow. You got stickers on the wall. You got bookshelves. You got the special kidney-sized tables. Is that what they're called? Kidney tables? Yeah. With the cute little chairs. And then we opened for business, didn't we?
We did.
And how did it go? You were full first day, right?
No. No. We came into the realization that it was going to be a struggle. And I don't like putting the blame on certain things, but honestly, it was because of COVID.
It really did.
It really was.
It hurt a lot.
It did hurt a lot. And honestly, I say go for it, but I do not recommend opening a business during a pandemic unless you're willing to deal with the extra stress that comes with it. We realized that nobody needed childcare because up here in Canada, Justin Trudeau was wonderful with his, what they call the CERB money, which is the Canadian Recovery Emergency Benefit, which gave people $2,000 a month to basically stay home and not work. So, and then after that, then it went down to the Canadian Recovery Childcare Benefit.
And they shut down daycares for a short period
And they did shut down daycares, but the recovery benefit was $450 a week. Basically, if you were at home with your child who couldn't go to school, couldn't go to daycare, he paid them $450 a week to basically stay home. So nobody's going to send their child to daycare and pay a fee when they can lose, then they're going to lose that money from the government. So, and it did. And of course that money is still going, which is
it's
crazy.
Yep.
And, but so we had two, and of course, before we opened, we had a lot of interest.
Oh yeah.
A lot of
we
tire
threw,
kickers.
Yeah. We threw a grand opening with free cake, right?
Yep. Yeah. We had a lot of interest, but again, we are still, like, I don't like to compete. I like to say that we're different. We're different. We're a different daycare from the other one. Mm-hmm. And by all means, we're not competing with them. And we don't ever want to compete with them because they can have like 80 kids over there and they're a huge facility. And I get that, but we want to stay small. And with us, it gives us a chance to be more selective with what kids we have so that, basically they jive with each other. And we had so much interest and we were so excited. And then all of a sudden when we opened, it was like, oh, okay, nobody's coming, nobody's registering, what's going on, right? And then you're just like, oh, it's because Justin Trudeau is extending all this money, and a lot of people are still working from home, and a lot of people don't need childcare, and it's like,
and I mean, we made the choice to open during
did.
a pandemic. We did, and we
yeah.
I mean, because we kind of leveraged all seasons maintenance to, we used some of the income and the profits from that to build the daycare, and we knew. And how long of a time frame did we plan that we wanted to hit to be full? Right, we knew.
I thought if we were full within the first year, I would have been happy. But we went a couple months, and we had a couple kids, like we had 3 or 4 kids. And then all of a sudden one of the children brought COVID into the center, and we were closed for like almost 2 months. I think we were almost closed.
Well, on and off
for almost 2 months. And of course,
because Christmas was
this was in May and June.
Yeah, that's right.
And of course,
it was a solid month anyway.
Nobody got everyone got COVID,
nobody
except for me, right?
And me,
but everyone got, nobody was really sick. But we have to, because they have all these wonderful protocols where you're licensed, you have to follow them all. And basically within those 6 to 8 weeks that we were closed, then a couple of the parents were like, oh, well, we're just going to keep them home, because
and they never brought them back.
And I get it. They were nervous, and that's okay too. But then it was just kind of like, okay. And then in the summer, it kind of picked up a little bit. I think we had 6 kids.
Slide back a little, because for those first 2 or 3 months, there were actually a few days where you guys shut down and went home because you didn't have any kids, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
and there was days we only had 1.
So there were days that there were 3 of them in there working for just a single kid. Now, but they were going on the internet. They were researching, they were learning, they were still playing with whatever kid they had.
And we were renovating too. We were decorating, we just keeping ourselves busy.
But I mean, it was discouraging, wasn't it?
Oh, very. Yes, very.
We had a plan. We knew what our plan was.
And up in your brain, you know what it is. And
but it doesn't make it easier, does it, babe?
Well, no, because when you get a certain vision in your brain, and that's and you have that embedded, that's the only vision you see. And it's hard to not stay on that path when you're getting distracted and you're being discouraged, because you're just like, no, this is how it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to look like. And it is hard, because you do get, and then when you come to the realization of it and your vision's not there, then you kind of crash really hard. And then you're just like, oh my goodness, this is not working. I don't know what to do. And then, and
you were able to, you lived off the high for maybe the first month or 6 weeks or so, right? Because you open a new business, and we were excited. And I mean, we knew we had a plan. Yes, we did. And I think we wanted to talk about this a little bit, because when you start a new business, you're excited. You have a plan, you know what you need to do. And especially once you've had one business already, you have that confidence, right? Like we knew, God damn it, we were gonna make this thing work. But that doesn't help when you've been open for 6 weeks, you've got a kid and a half registered, and you're shutting down a day or 2 a week because you have no kids there, right?
Yeah, and then you're open for 3 months and you have like 4 or 5 kids, and then all of a sudden, oh, now you got to shut down because of COVID, right? And it's
then a couple kids didn't bring them back.
A couple kids didn't come back,
And then we were just starting to get on our feet, and things were going well, and then we were quite excited. I mean, we had 6 or 7 kids, and then one mother who had 2 kids pulled both of them out.
Yes.
And that was sad. It was a situation.
It was a situation. And I wasn't really sad about it, because,
they weren't driving.
They weren't driving with the other kids. Like the 2 kids, it was making our days and I love all kids, but these children were making our days miserable. And it got to the point where I'd get up in the morning and I would basically hope and pray that they weren't going to be there that day. And it's like, and I don't ever want to say anything mean about that, but it was just like, and because in the way they would react, and then the kids that we all jive with, and they start counter reacting, and then it's just like, and then you lose control.
But it was still 25% to 30% of our revenue we lost overnight, basically, right? Yeah. So that you can imagine, like, if you have 17 kids, which is capacity, and we lose 2, well, whatever. That's just some of the gravy. But when you only had 7 or 8 kids and you lost 2, well, that hurt. It stung, even though you were kind of deep down inside, you're like, okay, this is probably the best.
Yes.
But it was. We were basically breaking even at that point, right?
Yeah.
Roughly. And then,
Amy and I were not taking a wage.
No,
we, Amy and I never really actually paid ourselves pretty much the full year.
So what you're saying is, as an entrepreneur, you put in 60 to 70 to 80 hours a week for 12 months and didn't take a wage? No. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
So are you getting rich?
Not yet, no.
but you're getting there, aren't you?
We're getting there, yes.
So it took a while.
Yeah.
You weren't as successful as you'd hoped out of the gate.
No.
You made almost no money for about a year.
Yep.
And you had some days. Let's talk about some days that you wanted to give up. Or it was, first off, were there ever, of course, I know the answers to these questions, but were there ever a day, babe, where you were like, you know what? Fuck it.
I'm done.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
Where do we go? What are we doing?
Yeah. I find like I'd have those days, but I'm not as vocal about it as Amy is. Amy's way more vocal about it than I am.
This was her first business too, right?
Yeah, yes. This is Amy. But the problem, but I found where, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm the older sibling or whatever, but I found when she was on those days and she's like, fuck it, I'm done, I'm going home, I can't do this anymore. And then she'd go to the office and she'd start crying. And I'm just like, of course, me being the older sibling, I'm like, no, we got this, we can do this, we got this. And then I'd go home and then I'd start crying because she couldn't see me. And then, of course, I take it out on you, right?
She wanted to be the one that she carries. You carry it all the time, right? So, and we got Mike, the Philippine nomad over on Float. Good evening, Mike. How are you? And so there were some bad days. Let's talk about the pizza party. It's not really a pizza party.
No, it wasn't a party. No. Well, was it
November or early December? When was it?
It was in December. It was just after those 2 kids were pulled out.
Yes, that's right. Because that was
November.
So remember this, everyone. When you're opening a business, you can take this across the board, no matter what business it is. But I will guarantee you, I had it in all seasons maintenance, and you will have a moment, right, where you are as dark and as miserable and as defeated and as kicked in the stomach as you can be. And so what did we do?
Well, it got to the point where my optimism was just kind of like, okay. And I looked at Amy and I said, you know what? Maybe we are done. And I told her, I said, I'm totally okay with that. Like, we are a business, and I had suggested to her we could sell the business. Maybe somebody else would want to take on this headache because we're done with it. And
so we talked about just shutting the doors too.
Yeah, or we just talked about, but Amy and I talked about that during the day.
Yes.
And then I said, well, let's get some pizza. I said, we'll get Tim and Barrett over here. Barrett is Amy's husband. And we had basically like a little powwow in the big room there. And we were just talking. We're like, okay, you know what? Amy and I are done. We can't do it anymore. I have basically stretched myself to the point where like there's nothing that I could grasp at that would give us any assistance. And of course, like with all the COVID money, there, like a lot of the other programs that would help small businesses were shut down because all the money's being filtered through these COVID benefits. And we just basically said, okay, if things aren't picked up by the new year, then we're done.
Or, oh yes. Well, yeah. So, cause it was
the new year.
Yeah. It was scary. I mean, like I said, I remember, not to make it about all seasons maintenance, but do you remember 2 winters ago when we got that really nasty snowstorm
Mhm.
and the ramps and everything drifted right over, and all I had was my backpack lower and shovels.
Yep.
And I came home and I sat down in the living room and I said, that's it, I quit, right? And you said, yep, okay. And you know what she did, guys? She went online, and it was too storming to even go anywhere. And you found me a brand new snowblower in town that I could go buy that night. And then I got up off my sorry ass and I went and got it. And I went out and I kept clearing snow. And within a day or two, I started feeling better. Hey.
Yep.
So we had our pizza party. So every business is going to have this time. And I know when we were talking, I can't remember which podcast it was on, but you need to know when to keep pushing, and you need to know when to stop pushing, right? Huh?
Mhm.
Hi, Homestead Glamour Girl. Nice to have you. And we got Liberty Late Night over on Float as well. Thank you. That was such a dream being on their show the other night. I'm still recovering, aren't I?
Yeah.
So anyway, you're going to have that time. So we sat down and we had the pizza party.
Yeah.
I call it the pizza party. Really what it was we sent everybody home right after work, and it was just the four of us, the
Yep.
two husbands, the two wives. And we made a plan and we said, what can we do? And we did everything we could control.
Yes.
We said, all right, we are going to spend money on advertising, which sounds foolish because, well, you know, we thought we were okay. First off, we weren't running out of money.
No.
We were breaking even, but we weren't making any money.
Well,
right?
yeah, because Amy and I still, like, and when I say like we never took a wage, like, at the end of the month when like when everything is paid up and everything, we're like, oh, well, we got a little bit extra, we can take something, but like when
we're talking a couple $100.
Yeah, like we're not we're talking like you're like when you're working 7:30 in the morning till sometimes 6 o'clock at night, and you're only making $500 for the whole month, like
you might as well call it nothing.
Yeah,
right,
like
sweetie?
it's nothing, right? But when you get the $500 in your pocket, you're like, yeah, I got $500, right? But it's no, like, but then you look back and you're just like, and I find when you're not making money, or you're just breaking even, and you're that far into your business, where it's discouraging, you start feeling defeated, and then you're tired. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. Like, and it's like all that, like you just don't want to, you just get to the point where you just don't want to do it anymore.
And so so we did what everybody else does. And we did exactly what some sinking ship businesses do as well. They figure, okay, we're going to try to double down on advertising and we're going to cut expenses at the same time.
Yep.
So we're like, okay, the other two workers, we sent one home and we cut one back to part-time.
Yep.
And we thought, this is what we need to do. And we need to advertise and we need to go out. And it doesn't always work this way. But I mean, we made a commitment that we were going to run till January 1st. And then we were going to evaluate, right?
Yeah.
And if things didn't improve.
Yeah. Well, and to go back about the workers too, like we don't have any outside workers, which is great. Like the other worker that we cut down to part-time, that's our daughter.
Yes.
Grace. And I am going to give her a really good shout out, because like she's 20 years old and man, that child can work.
Yeah, she can.
Like we cut her down to a part-time wage, and that child still came in at 7:30 in the morning, and she would still stay till 5 o'clock at night. And I would tell her, be like, Gracie, we can't pay you for these hours. And she's like, I don't care, Mom. I just want to hang out with you guys. And I was like, and the other worker who we sent home was my mom. And she still said, hey, I'm here if you need me. Right. But my mom, she's 67.
Yep.
So,
she has some income.
And she has income, like, like your pensioner and everything. But like, there's no point in her being there if she doesn't need to be. And I was like, you know what, go home and chill. Like you don't need to be here unless you need to be. But Gracie still came every day.
Yeah, she did.
And she's a great kid. Like she's a hard worker.
And she's there. And
yeah.
And so we went from there, didn't we? And we had the plan of, we knew it was going to be slow over Christmas. And we said, we're going to get there. But how long was it? And because it wasn't even before, they hadn't even announced anything yet, but you got a couple of new kids, didn't you?
Oh, it was just after the announcement.
Okay.
And that
we didn't know it was coming.
We didn't know. Well, we did, because we got the letters from licensing.
Right.
And I know a lot of people are anti-government.
We are too. Yeah.
And we are too. But I like, and I hate, and I don't want to brag because I know a lot of people everywhere don't have the same benefits about it, but the government of Alberta, we got a letter from our licensing. It was during the Christmas break between the 20th and January 1st. We got a letter stating that the Alberta government was signing a $55 billion deal or something like that for childcare, or 15 billion or something.
Million.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like some absurd amount. And that basically what it was going to do is that it was being provided from the federal government to the provincial government so that the provincial government can disperse the funds to all the licensed daycare centers so that parents could just pay $10 a day for daycare or less. And that rate, as soon as that, and like we got that announcement, and then after January, the first week in January, they announced it. And like we were getting messages and calls.
But at the same time, they were cutting back the government money.
They were cutting, yeah, the government money got cut back to $270 a week.
So they had to go back to work.
People had to actually go back to work.
Yes, which was a bonus.
But so now people are going back to work, and hey, guess what? Like our fees are for example, like our fees are $800 a month for a full time. That's Monday to Friday, 8 or 7 to 5 or whatever. Basically, if your child is, say, 3, you get $450 from the government, plus an additional $266 from the government. So you pay the difference. And I think that, do the math for me quickly.
I can't, I'm sorry.
800 subtract 450, subtract 266.
We had one parent who was doing private care and was paying $2,400 a month.
$2,400 a month for 2 kids. His invoice last month was $158. And that is full-time Monday to Friday. And so he pays $158. We get the difference from the government. And since January
1st, you guys have picked up 1 or 2 kids basically a week, right?
Yeah, we're full.
Yeah, and they are at capacity.
We are full, and we actually have a wait list started.
Yeah, and it's exciting. Yeah. I love it because we held on.
We did, yeah. And I don't want to say it's a lot because of the government, but like this was an incredible announcement, and it's also so helpful for parents, right? And
you wouldn't have been there. Like we launched a business during a worldwide pandemic. Everybody thought we were absolutely friggin' bonkers. Maybe we were. We held on for 9-10 months, just getting by, starting to get by a little bit better, then getting by worse.
Yeah.
And then, people
then you got to throw in like the weekly crying sessions. The crying sessions between, me coming home and Amy crying in the office.
It really, it beat you down, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, no, it beat us. Yeah. Oh, it did. It did.
And so this, I mean, now things are going better, aren't they?
Yes.
It's really cool because I also now have my level 1 daycare certificate. Yep. So I can be the handyman at the daycare. I can go in, and if you need a day off, I can actually go in and work. And and the kids love me.
You.
They call me Uncle Tim. And so at first that you might think, man, that's strange. It's because I have 2 nephews who go there. And of course, as soon as I walk in, they say, hey, Uncle Tim. So then all the kids are like, oh, it's Uncle Tim. And so it's pretty funny. I love it. But so, I mean, it was a difficult journey, but how did it compare to launching our first business? All Seasons Maintenance, the handyman business, right?
Well, it's completely different.
Yes.
Like the one good thing about All Seasons is that need is always going to be there.
Yes.
And of course people call you because they need the work.
Right.
But where the childcare people are more hesitant on it, right? Because
they're babies.
It's their babies. And they have to, and these babies are going to be with you for sometimes 10 hours a day. And they need to basically trust you, and you have to build that trust. You have to build rapport with them. And you're seeing these parents every day. Like with All Seasons, you might do a job for somebody and never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
But like we're seeing these parents every day. We're discussing all kinds of like personal things with them. And so you have to build all that with the parents. And it's, it is a lot different.
And when we were launching All Seasons Maintenance, you were working full time. So you had a guaranteed income coming in at the time.
Yes.
So it didn't make it easy, but at least we knew, if nothing else, geez, we can fall back on Mama Bear's money, right?
Yep.
And I mean, we were okay. I'm glad we didn't do this in the first year of All Seasons Maintenance, because it would have put too much stress. But
yes,
we
wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't have. We'd have probably crashed and burned everything.
Yeah.
But so we were 4 years in, and so we were able to. I guess one of the best things, and this is another piece of advice, is to think where we are with businesses. Hey, because I mean, I always say it, but I mean, we were literally broke, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, and abject poor,
Yep.
There was no, like,
what do they call that?
Meme?
Old poor.
We were old poor.
Old
Yeah.
poor.
So,
Everything else is new poor now.
yeah. So like, this is not something we ever envisioned even 10 years ago, right?
No, and we do have to do a really good recognizing too, where we're doing really, really good at the daycare now, and Amy's got that good income.
Oh yes.
Our brother-in-law, it went out on his own, and he's starting his mechanic shop, and he basically,
and he's kicking ass and taking names.
God, he's doing incredible. Yeah, but it's because Amy has that income now, so he was able to do it, and I'm so proud of them.
I am. It's funny how success breeds success.
Yep.
Business breeds business. And it's cool because like, and I don't ever want it to come across as bragging, because Jesus Christ, I mean, we were so broke, baby.
We're allowed to
so
brag.
many, yeah. I know.
No, you know what? I've learned my entire life that you don't get it. Like, you do have to be humble, and you have to be grounded. And when I was a kid, you didn't have much. I didn't have much when we were like, my parents didn't have much, and I kind of just figured that's how everybody lives. And so I was just kind of like, okay, well, I'll just be happy with a 9-to-5 job, as long as I pay my bills, not ever worrying about, oh, well, man, maybe I should save up money so we can go on a vacation. That wasn't even a thought in my brain, because I just thought, as long as I'm working at Walmart 9 to 5, or, well, in my case, it was like 4 to 11 at night, and I'm making enough so that we can pay our $800 power bill, then I'm happy, because all our bills are paid and my kids have full bellies. But
we might be able to go out of town to a movie once
or maybe take the kids bowling, or
every 2 months, if we paid everything right, balanced everything perfect, and got it right at the end of the month, right?
Exactly. And you don't want to brag, but you know what, when you've come, if we were to sit down and write a book, and everybody was to see my entire life up until the point when I met Tim, and then our entire married life up until about 6 years ago, you would understand basically how far we've actually come. And we have come a long way. And
we have.
And the stubbornness is something that I've had my entire life, but I've never actually put it to use, because I was like, well, whatever, I just want to get these bills paid, right? And there was times I was working 2 full-time jobs, and there's times that, well, when I was dispatching, I was working 12-hour day, or 14-hour days, because I had a 2-hour drive commute, and I was working 8 days on, 7 days off, trying to raise 2 4-year-old twins, and we had 3 teenagers, and just trying to get things done and ends to meet, right? And now
look where you are. You know?
Well, yeah, and like my sister and I are going to Vegas in September, which is great. And like that, we're able to do stuff like this. And it's not that because we make all kinds of money, because, we really don't, but we're able to do stuff like this because we own our own business.
You've built freedom into your life, haven't you?
Yes.
We've built freedom into our lives.
Exactly.
Talk about that a little bit, baby, about the freedom.
Well, the freedom,
what kind of freedom?
Well, with having your own business, like if I want to go in at 10 o'clock in the morning, I call Amy, because Amy's always in at 8:30 anyway, because my other nephew has to be at school. So she drives him in. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to come in at 10 in the morning because I have to do some running around in the morning. Yeah, sure. No problem. But like, I don't need to answer to anybody else like that. And I don't need to ask permission.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you want to, it's given us some flexibility financially as well. Yep. And it just allows you, like you said, to make your own choices, right? And yep. if you want to take a day off, you just make sure that the other people have it covered. You don't have to call your boss and beg and plead and hope that you can get it on.
No, we do it all the time. Like, we're going to the dentist on the 1st. I just tell Amy, I'm like, hey, we're going to the dentist on the 1st. And she's like, oh, cool. Okay, I'm going to my tattoo appointment on this day. Like, we just make sure that our days aren't on the same, like, we don't have the same day off, because I wouldn't do that to poor Gracie. But we don't, but we just, we alternate our days off. And, we usually work Monday to Friday, but it just, but I don't need to submit, like AHS, you had to submit a written request and it had to be approved. And then
you had to hope they might approve it.
Yeah. And then you had to, and if it wasn't approved, then you had to use your personal time or your sick time. And, it's just, I don't need to worry about any of that.
So here's something. When you're in business, baby, mm-hmm. how important is it to have goals? And how important is it to kind of envision the future? Because so you can talk about that a little bit with the daycare too, but what kind of goals, like, where do we want to go with the daycare from here? Because we're at max capacity mm-hmm. at the moment, 17 kids, yep. but there's things we can do, isn't there?
Well,
dream out loud.
My goal personally is we're going to buy the church, and we're going to renovate the whole upstairs so that we could become a bigger center. And then I'm hoping within 2 or 3 years, I could maybe step back a little bit. I'm not old, but I'm old.
We want to have a bit of a transient lifestyle to at least to an extent.
And I don't want to put the cart before the horse or anything. Yeah. Like, I don't want to but I'm, like, we have older kids. Mackenzie's 24. Olivia is 22. Like, I'm hoping in a couple of years, maybe we'll have some grandkids, and I want to be able to have that freedom so that I can see my grandbabies, and I love my dogs, and I want to be able to spend time with my dogs. And I'm hoping in a couple of years that I could give the business to Gracie so she could run it.
But we'll still make money off it.
But we'll still make money off it. But I want to set our kids up for success. Right?
Generational wealth, baby. Exactly. Friggin' right.
Yeah. And same with all seasons. Like, we're going to, Olivia and her boyfriend, we're hoping that maybe in a couple of years, maybe they'll decide to move back to Provost, and we can offer them all seasons so that Tim and I can. Because we're do our thing.
We're moving that into a property management business, aren't we? Between snow removal and property management, that is really where all our money's being made, and it is something that we can easily have an employee or two to take care of most of the time, right, baby?
Yes, and that's what we want. Like, we want to basically let the kids run the business so that they're set up for their life, and we can set back and we can do our life. And like, I'm going to be 43 this year. My entire life.
She robbed the cradle. I'm only 32.
Yeah, right. But my entire life since I was 18 has been devoted to kids and to family. And basically, I've been a parent since I was 18, and I want to be an adult.
Yeah.
I want to do adult things. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to not have to go into work that day because I want to go shopping in the city. I want to do adult things. And I can't, and you can't do that when you're working 60 hours a week, but I want to be able just to have a life.
But you had to do the 60-hour a week thing for a while to build it to this point, didn't you?
And I'm probably going to be a couple more years yet.
And I'm excited. So what we're going to do with the daycare, of course, a lot of this is my muscles, right? We're going to, but first off, again, the upstairs looks just like any old evangelical church that you've been into in the country or anywhere. And it's a big open room with a couple of small rooms off to the side. We're going to renovate the whole thing. We're going to do an after-school drop-in program, right?
That's still on the table. I think We're going to expand the daycare first.
Yes. And
Yeah.
our biggest setback at the daycare is we need more bathrooms.
Yes.
That is 95% of our limitations right now is the fact that we only have 2 bathrooms.
Yeah, it's 10 people per bathroom.
Right.
That's what you're
So
allowed to have.
17 kids and 3 workers is what it works out to. So we're going to add 3 bathrooms upstairs. And I'm going to do a lot of that work, but we're going to hire a professional for some of it simply because we can, right?
Yep.
And then we're going to renovate the whole interior. We're going to upgrade the electrical. We're going to get, this is my favorite part for the outside. We're going to get that rubber.
Yes.
So if you guys have ever seen that, it's like a permanent rubber mulch. It looks like asphalt, but it doesn't get hot. The water runs through it, and it's 100% permanent because we have a fairly small playground area, and the kids are like goats. They kill the grass. And so we need
they killed it bad last year.
Yeah. So we need to come up with something. So we're doing that.
And every little bit of grass that comes up, they go by and they just pull it out. I don't know. I don't know why. My kids never did that. I don't understand. But
even before we got started, we had to spend a lot of money to fence in the yard, didn't we?
Yeah, that was over that was $3,000. Yeah.
So
that was our biggest expense.
It was. That's right.
Yeah.
But it was funny because it basically, the old yard, the yard that's there, had a fence around it that looked like an old graveyard fence. You'd never be able to use it for kids.
No, it was dangerous.
It was it's fine. Cast iron with points on the top. So you can just imagine. So Barrett borrowed, when he was still working for a company, he borrowed the forklift, and him and I spent the afternoon using the cut-off grinder. We cut it into pieces, and then he hauled it out of the ground with that. And then we had to hire somebody to put in 6-foot chain link fence.
But it still gave us a good deal because it was Barrett's family.
Yes. So and they gave us a good deal and allowed us to kind of pay it over a couple of months, which was great. And Chris, first off, we'll go back to Homestead Glamour. She says, never apologize for basking in success that you made. And I appreciate that. You remember we ordered some body butters a while back? Yep. Yeah, that was from her. So another female entrepreneur. And Chris says, some of the best dandelion pickers I had were in Little League. Yeah. or rock pickers, but yeah. So, and then we worked on the fence. That was a big, and what am I doing? I'm putting a new door in for you tomorrow, aren't I?
Yeah. We were able to buy a new door finally. And
we've put a couple of windows in the basement because they basically do nothing. The old windows that are there.
And actually, they didn't open.
No.
So it was like fire hazard.
But they were thin too, really thin.
Yeah, and you get huge drafts from them. And
I was up in the attic the other day. So here's something we wondered why it was so hard to heat this old building. And I was up in the attic with the electrician for the first time ever, and there's literally zero insulation in there. It was awful. And that's why. And Loco says, this is Mike from the Philippines. He says, put the blinders on, fail forward until you succeed. Do that, and do that again.
Yep. And
I find I used to talk about this in my Growing Your Business series, but it's like going through a maze, right? And I grew up around an old, we had a Upper Clemens Park. Remember, we used to take the kids there, and they used to change. Remember, you could stand up on the little walkway and you could look down into the maze so you could see where the kids were.
Yep.
So for some people, they could look down into the maze and see, and they were like the people that had already succeeded, and they knew what they needed to do to get through. But if you're in the middle of the maze, it doesn't work that way. You go around a corner, you hit a dead wall or a dead end. So then you turn around and you head the other way, right, baby?
Yep.
And then eventually you find your success, right?
Well, and to like to put it out for anybody that's starting a business. I don't know how it works in the States.
That's
I don't
okay.
know. But like just pound the Google information. Like the internet, there are so many grants and supports out there, and not to categorize again, but there's more for female entrepreneurs.
No, that's what I brought you on for, baby. Talk about it, preach it.
There are so many out there because what do you they don't want you to fail. They and a lot of these grants you don't even have to pay back, and because as long as you do what they, as long as you do what, as long as you submit all your paperwork, and you basically don't take the money and squander it on,
not that the government would ever. The government would never squander any money, right?
No, never, never. But I just applied for a new grant, and we haven't got approved yet. But basically, it's a new grant for all new electrical, insulation,
It's an
new
environmental
doors.
grant,
It's an
right?
environmental grant. Like they're going to do a new furnace, new hot water tank. Basically anything like this whole, like if we were to do it all, it would have cost, it's going to probably cost us
$100,000.
$100,000, and it's 100% grant, and we don't have to pay any of it back. We just have to submit the receipts that it was paid. And that's incredible. And there is stuff out there like that.
And again, I talk about Becky is really good at not even going over speed bumps, but plowing right the hell through them. She's also an absolute bull in a china shop when it comes to finding grants. And there's absolutely nothing wrong. There's Rod.
Oh,
Thanks.
hi, Rod.
Congrats to all your success, guys, all your hard work and drive. We love Rod. He's awesome. Good friend of ours from Ontario. But so she is an absolute bulldog, in the most pretty bulldog in the sense of finding grants. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with going after grants, because that's just getting some of your stolen tax dollars back.
Well, that, and it doesn't cost anything.
Right. Yes.
Like,
except time.
Except time. And honestly, like this new environmental grant that I just applied for, it took me
Might have put
like
5 or 6 hours
five
into
or six
it.
hours into it. It doesn't cost you anything to apply, so you don't have to submit any application fees or anything. And worst case they're going to say is no. And honestly, I don't accept no. So basically it'll come back to me, and then I'm just like, okay, so you're not going to approve this, but you're going to approve this. And I don't like to say that I fight with them, but I'm very forceful when it comes to that kind of stuff, because you're not going to flat out tell me that nothing on there is going to be approved, because there is going to be something, and I will get something. And there's all kinds of it, and it is available for everyone.
And you kick ass at that. And that, you know, everybody has their niche or their thing, and you are just as persistent as the day is long. And but that's not a bad thing, because okay, guys, I got to tell you, number one, if I'd never met Miss Cook here, I would probably still be, if I'm not dead, I'd still be at the hardware store, at Home Hardware, where I worked.
Living on Warwick Street
in this tiny little apartment all by myself. Absolutely friggin' miserable, stressed out beyond belief, blood pressure through the roof, simply because I used to settle. I was good at settling. You're not a settler. No. She is the opposite of a settler, whatever that is, an explorer, I guess, right?
Gypsy.
Yeah, but you would tell me, you're like, honey, you deserve better. Honey, you can do better. Honey, quit. You're killing yourself all year to get a 15-cent an hour raise based on a promise they never give you.
Yep.
And I finally listened to her. And you know
what?
Because
that was not acceptable.
No, but it didn't get better right away, did it?
No.
Because then we went across country. You guys know that story. But anyway, so, but that's her. She's always willing to be bold and take chances and risk it, right, baby?
Well, and I did that for Barrett too. When he said when he left his job, he's like, I'm going to go out on my own. I'm like, good. I said, you need to do that. And I told him, I said, you need help with anything, I will help you. I said, give me I set him up his business account, his GST number. I said, I will help you any way I can do it. And right now I'm looking for grants for him every day. I'm trying to find him money. And it's there. You just have to find it.
And you really did encourage him a lot. And, you know, it's almost like our business family tree at this point, right? Because it starts with All Seasons Maintenance, then it goes to Busy Bees Daycare, then it goes to Toolman Tim's workshop, and now it reaches out. Hey, Martinson family, how are you? And now it reaches out into Midnight Mechanical, and now our brand new Canadian coffee company. Like it's so cool, guys.
And
this
then
is
it's
how
going
it
to
works.
be All Seasons Property Management.
Yes, because we're going to buy some properties, and so it blows me away how it works. But you know, if you're thinking that you can't, or you won't, or you'll fail, that's okay, because we thought that too, didn't we?
But don't start something right away with that mindset.
Right.
Don't because that right there that's not a good mindset to be in. Like, don't wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm going to start this business, but it's probably going to fail.
Yeah.
Don't you can't work like that. You have to basically don't take no for an answer, and just keep, just keep going forward, because you can't just constantly have that mindset that you're going to fail, because if you do, unfortunately, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And you can't be there.
Right? Well, I wasn't always that way, but what did I tell you a while back about the coffee business? What did I say? Do you remember? I know I put you on the spot, but I was heading to bed and I looked at you and I said, we're going to succeed with this coffee business. This is going to be a big deal for us. Remember? Yep. And because now we believe it, but it takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight. And, you know,
well, and it helps when you have a support system too. Support systems are always the best, because he's always coming at me with these harebrained ideas.
Oh, what? Yeah, right.
Well, all these harebrained ideas, just everything. And I'm just kind of like, I'm to the point now. I'm like, all right, well, go ahead. Or usually my second question is like, okay, well, how much is it going to cost us? And then he's like, oh, well, only this amount, and this amount. And I'm like, well, if it's something you want to do, then do it. And then after he gets started, then it's, do you need help with it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, if you can have a support system, whether it's a spouse, a sibling, a parent, that, like, anything helps, like, to have that.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I do think, like, I feel kind of bad, or, you know, it's got to be a little more difficult for people who don't have a support system, like a wonderful wife or a,
no, it is hard, but you know what? There are support systems online.
Yes. So how do you, what would you say? What would you do?
Well, honestly, like, well, you have a community on yours.
Yep.
You're a support system, right? Like, you're
I never thought of that.
You are, like, you're open. People message you all the time and ask you questions. Like, find those type of support systems. And like, there's always, like, but don't waste your time on, like, those phony support systems
where you got to pay $200,
like
$100, whatever.
Yeah, like, here, give me your credit card information and I'll tell you how wonderful you are. Like, don't waste your money on that kind of stuff. You find a real person that is really going to support you. And you know what? And in the long run, you're making connections, you're making friends, you know, like,
maybe join the local business group, Chamber of Commerce, something like that.
Chambers of Commerce. Like, I find they are harder in small towns.
Yes. Oh, yes.
They really are.
The old boys club.
I find Chamber of Commerce, like, I find some businesses in town, like, they, like, I don't know what it is, but they're old school, but there are some people that take you as a threat.
Yeah,
too.
They do.
And that makes it hard too. Like, cause I know the other daycare takes us as a threat. Even though I've never given that impression, and anytime I ever see them, I'm friendly and cordial with them. And I've never, ever.
No, but that's okay.
Like, never, but
business is business.
Business is business. And unfortunately, some people are going to take you as a threat. And you know what? And in the back of my brain, if someone's taking you as a threat, you're going somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Because honestly, if they're talking about you and they feel threatened by you, you're going to do something, because they're automatically like, oh man, I'm going to be in trouble. So, and like, you don't ever want to step on anybody's toes, and you don't ever want to do that. But you know what? How other people react, you can't control that.
Yeah. Amen, sister. I love it. Chris Dixon says most small towns have an old boys club mentality, but it's up to us to make that change.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I have no inclination of running for prime minister, but sometimes you can affect change in your small town, can't you?
You can. And like I said, though, but like with us is we make our good connections with the people in town. Like,
yep,
we try to support other female businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could put her name out there, Amber Thompson and Leah Cassidy. They do our cakes for us. Like, we do birthday parties for the kids for their birthdays, and they always supply us with these incredible birthday cakes. And then we always support the Canalta Hotel. Like,
yeah,
and we reach out to small businesses when we do our fundraisers, and we try to support them as best we can. We try to shop locally.
Yeah,
as best we can. Like, it's getting harder, unfortunately.
Sure it is.
But we do, and we try to support as many of the small businesses in town as we can. And it's good to have those connections too.
It is. So maybe maybe talk just a little more about being a woman, you know, not about having, you know, those things, but like as a woman in business, and, you know, in any other struggles, or just talk about it a little bit, sweetie.
Honestly, that has always been a thing. Like, I'm trying, we have 5 kids. We have our son, who's the oldest,
mm-hmm.
and and then we have 4 girls. So basically, as soon as the first girl came, and then the second girl came, and then we found out we were having twin girls, I was like, my mentality stepped up. I was like, oh, no. These girls, they are not going to be walked on, and they are going to know that they can be just as good as a male counterpart, if not better. And I've ever since they were little, I've always raised them. You need to have a voice. You need to make sure that if whatever you're doing, that you're in control, you're in charge of you, you're in charge of what you're doing. And I raised my girls that way. And they are strong. Like our 2 oldest girls are 22 and 20. Oh my goodness, and aren't they stubborn? Sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh, maybe I went a little too hard on it. But,
I wonder where they get it from.
Oh yeah, but I said to our oldest girl the other day that trying to get through her brain is like trying to nail through a concrete wall with a flip-flop, because you just can't get through to her. She's so stubborn. But I raised her that way.
Yep.
And I want her to be that way. And she's strong, she's independent, she doesn't rely on anybody but herself. And that's what a woman has to be, unfortunately. And it's okay to rely on a spouse, whether it's male or female, but where you're a woman, you have to be more aggressive with it, and you have to push forward, and you have to plow through that. And I want my girls to never ever have to sit back and think, oh, well, I can't get that job because I'm a girl. That doesn't work. And I go out there and I can remove snow just as good as he can.
Yes.
And
except sometimes you get like
I got frostbite the other day because I was out moving snow just like he can. But I can use the backpack blower just as good as you can. And I want my girls to be like that. And we're raising the twins like that. They're going to be 12 this year. And today we just taught her how to make bread. And she's like, oh, well, this is great. This is great. And that is a great skill. But I don't want her thinking that that's what she has to do, be in the kitchen making bread. That's not how it's going to work. She was talking the other day. She wants to go to Ivy League schools because she wants to be a lawyer. I probably do.
Yeah. She's a better shot than I am. But a whole nother story.
But I just don't want them. And to any woman out there, don't ever back down because there is and don't get me wrong, there is a lot of great men out there. There are, but there's some that'll just be like, you know what? No, you can't do this. I'm not talking to you. I'm not dealing with you. But I worked for a company where I was a loan officer.
Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
You ran a payday loan store. As a boss. Yeah. As you ran it.
I ran it, and I was the collections officer.
And you made a mistake because you got pregnant.
Yes,
So
I got pregnant.
What happened?
Well, I was the collection officer, and basically anyone that would come in, unfortunately, it was usually the men. When I was collecting money, they would resort to calling me names, telling me I'm useless, telling me that they need to find somebody else to do my job because I don't know how to do it. And I'd be like, and then basically my response would be like, well, when you're done, you still have to come in here and pay this loan. And if you don't pay this loan, I'm going to go into your bank account and I'm going to take my money.
She was a good loan collector.
And they obviously, and then they're like, whoa. And then they, but you have to be assertive like that. And it's unfortunate that sometimes you have to be. But I worked for the company for 3 years. Yep. 3 years. And then we got pregnant with the twins.
You told them that you got pregnant.
I told my regional manager, who, by the way, had no children, and he thought he was a chauvinist, basically called me up the next day and told me that I was fired because... And you got to back up because everybody's going to say, oh, well, you should have sued him.
Well, yeah, we could have, except we didn't have a pot to piss in.
Nope.
And we knew that they would absolutely drain us trying to fight, and it wouldn't work. And we wanted to, but we didn't because we were,
Yeah, anyway, but I looked at it as it was like a saving grace anyway.
It was.
Because I wanted to be home with.
And you hated the job.
I hated the job, and I wanted to enjoy my pregnancy, and I wanted to enjoy the kids, and we just pushed, and we got through it.
And speaking of strong, independent young ladies, here is Charlotte Cook.
This is my future Ivy Leaguer here.
Yes, she is my biggest fan. And what a smart kid.
She informed us the other day that she wants to apply for Harvard or Stanford or Penn. Yeah, like she wants to be a lawyer. So, and she's just like, she's so independent, and that's the way that I want my girls to be.
And they all are.
And they all sometimes
too strong-willed and independent, but you know what? That's a personality trait that's for the better.
Yeah, and I don't ever want my girls, not that it's not okay, but I don't ever want them to base their life around,
or to depend on a man, right?
To depend on a man.
Yep.
Like Olivia, our oldest girl, we always said she was the only girl we would know that you could drop in the middle of the woods and come back in 6 months, and she would be comfy, cozy, and have a house built.
Mm-hmm.
She could kill chickens.
Oh yeah.
She could pluck them. She helped with
she wanted to go
the
hunting.
pigs. She would hunt.
Yep.
Like she knew how to start fires. Like we taught her all that. And I don't ever want my girls to be like, oh, I don't know what to do. That's not how it works. They have to be able to do that.
And now what I love about that is you don't really take shit off anybody, do you?
No.
And maybe before, I don't know, you never really did, period, even when we first met. But
no.
But you're so strong-willed about it in the good sense toward business now,
Well, and that's part of owning your business too. Like I find when people come in, like not so much at the daycare, because all my parents are great.
Yes.
But like with All Seasons, I've had to deal with a couple customers where they're like, oh, well, if you don't do this, then we're never going to get you again. And then you're basically, well, that's fine. We don't need your business. And then, and then when you say something like that, they get thrown back. And they're like, well, I didn't really mean it. Well, you already said it. So guess what? You're no longer our customer. Have a great day. Try to find somebody else to do the same job for the same amount of money, because it'll never happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I find when you can talk to people like that, like who are disrespecting you, and you can counter react with assertiveness that gets your point across, then that's what you need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what if somebody came to you, if a lady came to you today,
yep.
or not just a lady, but we're talking about women power tonight, which is great. So if a woman came to you, hey, know your Joe, how are you? Nice to see you. So if a lady came to you tomorrow and said, hey, I want to start a business, what would you tell them? Put you on the spot, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I'm sure you'd start
1,000 things, but honestly, like if they came to me, they had a plan, they had an idea, they basically knew what they were going to do and what they wanted to do, and they had access to be able to do it. My first response would be, how can I help you? And
I love that.
Like, what can I do to help you? What do you need? And then the second one would be, don't stop.
Because that's the key, isn't it?
Yep.
Just moving forward. And it does. And it's crazy. Hey,
yeah.
Like it is like, and everybody always asks, like, how do you find success? How do you build a business? And it's all the same. You keep moving forward, and when something works, you do more of that. And when something doesn't work, you stop doing it. Right.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of, you have, like in the group here, you have a lot of handymen and everything.
Oh,
like
yes.
That. Yeah. I don't know if they have wives that help them or anything like that, but guys, let your wives help.
Oh, yes.
We know our shit.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely.
Do.
And you're really good at some other things that I just suck at too, right? So we complement each other, right?
Yeah.
Well, baby, we've done well. We're 1 hour and 15 minutes in. You had no idea we've been that long, hey? So, what's your dream with the bit? Like you said, we want to be able to travel some more, and what are some of our other big, hairy, audacious goals? What do you?
Well, like I want to be
property.
I was going to say, I want to be able to travel with you.
Yes, me too.
But don't get me wrong. Like I love traveling with my sister Amy. We're going to have so much fun. It's going to be great. I think we're going to end up probably traveling separate for a while. But with the business, I want to be able to, while we're starting the property management, we want to buy some houses so we can fix them up, and we can be our own property managers. And I love our house that we're in now, but we're not getting any younger. I think we're probably going to have to get a different house that's eventually. All basically one level, and then we can rent this place out. Yeah.
And Chris Dixon says, we play blue job and pink job in our house, and she's happy never grabbing a hammer or power tool. It works for us. But I was thinking about that.
You know what, though? I don't like power tools either.
No, that's okay.
No, I really don't. Like, I can use them. I don't like them. I don't have the hand strength, but I don't. But like, I'll be darned if I'm working all day and he's not doing the laundry when he's home.
Oh, so, yeah. And you know what's great? No, but it's true. I was thinking about that because, you said, like, there's been some days, hey, Joseph, how are you? Not a problem. So first off, you come out and help me do snow, right? And if you're working and I have a slow day, friggin' right, I do laundry. And you know what else I do? I come over to the daycare and I roll around on the floor if I'm feeling up to it and play with the kids, or I help you put meals out, or I watch the kids while you got to run in and make a phone call. We do it all, and we're a team. And I think that's the key, isn't it? Like, that really works good.
And you know what? And she doesn't like power tools. That's all fine and dandy. Like I said, I don't like them either. I love doing snow. Yeah. You're good at it too. Yeah, I love doing snow. Mowing the lawns in the summer, absolutely not. I hate the heat. So I will do it if I have to, but it's not something I enjoy either. But
you know what else she did? When we found out my dad had cancer and had to have surgery, first thing she did was hopped online, didn't even ask questions, and booked me a flight and said, you're going. And she said, if you want, take the girls with you. And it was awesome. But I couldn't have done that if she hadn't have said, don't worry, honey, I'll take care of everything here. And I didn't even have to worry about it, did I? No. Because this is the same woman that I left alone for 5 months while I went to Alberta, and you lived in a 130-year-old house and took care of the kids. But
with wood furnace.
Yes. But she stayed here and you ran the ship. You made sure the snow got done. My brother-in-law helped a ton.
Oh yeah, Barrett was a great help.
But you took care of it. And
and it didn't stop snowing. No. I'm just going to put that out there.
And it still hasn't fucking stopped snowing, has it?
Because honestly, up before he left, and like, if I had known, I would have been like, oh yeah. But before he left, I think we maybe had 10 snow days.
Maybe at the most.
So I'm just like, oh, you know what? I got this. It's no big deal. The day after he left, I think it snowed every day.
It did. Yeah. I think I was gone. Honestly, I think I was gone, 11, 12 days. Yeah. And I think you guys did snow 9 or 10 days.
Oh, it didn't stop. Yeah, it did not
And it wasn't just a little bit, was it?
No, about day 8, I called him and I said, well, I'm just handing in my resignation now. Just let you know that I'm done. I'm quitting.
But of course, here's the other thing that she jumped in and did like a friggin' champ. So when I left, I was told there would be absolutely no bank property management to be done at all, right? And as soon as I left, I get, oh my God, how many? It was a secure and 4 occupancy checks, which is where you have to go. She'd never done them with me before because there was never a need to. And she's like, yep, I'll go. So she hops in the car, goes out, does an inspection on a house, changes some locks. Then she goes to an hour out of town and serves paper to these people.
They were there was like, because anytime that I've ever actually been with you for an occupant, nobody ever lives there,
right? They're always empty.
Yeah, these were apartment buildings, and I'm knocking on the door, and all of a sudden these 2 guys come running down the hallway at me, and I had Gracie with me, so she was my muscle, but it's just like, I didn't know what they were gonna do.
But you did good. Yeah, I'm proud of you. And nothing scares her. You might be a little nervous or anxious.
Yeah, I get nervous, but then it's like, okay, well, back up. I'm only here to drop off papers. You don't need to get lippy with me. So, but it's, it's just something that has to be done. And no, I didn't mind doing it.
No, it was awesome, babe. Yeah. And and I guess that's a bit of the teamwork too, isn't it? But I know I brag her up all the time. I was on Liberty late night the other night and I must have talked about you 10 or 12 times, and Dave and Mary both were like, we got to meet this Becky at some point. So, because I love having you on here, because really she's what helps me get so much shit done, and it's awesome, and I'm proud of you, baby. Like we wanted to talk about our lessons in business, but I wanted you to come on and share what it's like to be a woman, because I unfortunately don't know what that's like.
Well, and I don't know if there's any women entrepreneurs that are looking to start it. They can message me.
Yes, absolutely.
My email is the same as Tim's. Almost. It's just instead of Tim, the real Tim Cook, it's the real Becky Cook.
Yeah, the real Becky Cook at gmail.com.
Yeah, so, like if any females out there want a message, like I'll give you as much help as I can. I don't mind
That would be awesome,
Yeah.
baby. We never even planned this, but that's great.
No, but it's true. Like, like, unfortunately, women have to build up women.
Yeah.
And there are so many women out there that are so quick to to build, like, to tear us down. There's those women that just need to build each other up, and that's what we need to do more of. And instead of, cutting everybody down, we need to, like, even men need to be built up too. And like, everybody, that's what we need to work on. There's too much of this bullshit of cutting people down all the time. It's not necessary.
I'm proud of you, baby. I am. Do you got anything else? We'll wrap her up then. Do you got anything else you want to share before we finish up?
I don't think so.
No? Just quote, kick ass, take names, and
yeah. I don't know.
I'm really proud of you. I mean, I know I say it all the time, but it's fun to say it publicly because you're an inspiration. You're an inspiration to our girls. You get me out of bed every day, which is, well, no, that's not true. I beat you out of bed, but
oh no,
but,
I'm a late sleeper.
Yeah, but you absolutely are. Yeah, and you are, and you need to tell your story because you kick ass at it, and I'm proud of you. And you're over there working and making money, and it's great. So I'm proud of you, baby. I love you.
And I get the time off so I can go to Nashville with you.
Yes, yeah. So
that'd be great.
Right. So any of our community members, workshop community members who are going to be at the Living Free in Tennessee workshop in next month. Jesus, that's only a month away. I know. I'm excited. Mrs. Cook's going to be there with me. So if you want to meet my celebrity wife in person, no, just kidding. But if you want to meet her in person, we'll be there. And we're going to be in that whole area for 2 weeks. So if anybody wants to do a meetup or have some coffee, it'll be great. I think Chicken Hawk's going to try to come down and meet up with us. So it'll be good.
Like, we're going as far as Jacksonville.
Yes, we are. Yeah. We're going to be all over the place. It's going to be great. So
yeah.
Well, thank you, baby. Yeah. It was great. Thanks for coming on. You were a splendid and exceptional guest. I really appreciated you. I love you. So guys, that was it from us for this week. Where are we heading this week? So if you want to know where you can find me, it's going to be yet another busy week. And you put up with my bullshit all the time. And you're like, honey, do a live stream. I love it. She's such a supporter. But so for that, Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain, Fireside Freedom. I'm going to be leading that episode. We're going to be talking about alternative social media, which is great. That's what I love. Float, Odyssey, Rumble. Anyway, we'll get into it. Wednesday, I'm not sure if it's going to be live or even broadcast that day, but I'm sitting down for a chat with Ken Esch, my buddy. He's also from Fireside Freedom. He's going to have me on his Constructive Liberty podcast. I am super excited. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship and everything else in between. And then, of course, Thursday night will be the next time we're sitting in the workshop chair, or at least I will be, I guess. I don't know if you want to come on and talk about preparedness. Yeah. So we're going to be doing preparedness. And that one, of course, is always on the Prepper Broadcast Network as well.
I'm always helping you with that. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, you are. I love it. Yeah. Martinson family says, can't make it. The 49th is a problem. Kind of busy with booby milk and diapers anyway. That's okay. Yeah, they're babies, So, yep. But yeah, so thank you guys. I tell you this every single night and every week that we do this, but I'm kind of floored and blown away by the fact that, I'm here talking and you guys are willing to drop by, listen, and share with us. It's a pretty cool community we're building, eh, baby?
It is. Yeah.
So thank you guys. And remember, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.